This might be my favorite quality of life change they have ever done in Final Fantasy XIV. Added in patch 7.3, we now have the display progress bar option in the menu. If you go over to the character configuration, display name settings on the left there, and then the general tab, and go all the way to the bottom, there's a new enemy settings section that has a tick box that says display progress bar. It does say it's only applicable to bosses and powerful foes, and hopefully this does get changed in the future to lesser creatures as well, because there's plenty of different enemies in the game, ads and such, and in general areas that have interruptible spell casts and things that you might want to be aware of. And yeah, definitely have this turned on. It is turned on by default, but it looks absolutely amazing. You've probably seen this as you're doing content in the game. I have yet to find a piece of content where this hasn't been added. I know that Yoshi P on the 88th live letter mentioned how they wanted to basically backdate this to as many places as possible. I have yet to find somewhere that hasn't had this added to it. Incredibly useful. It's a sort of quality of life change that we will definitely forget about and suddenly take for granted that it was never, you know, a thing to begin with. I don't know why you would ever turn it off, personally, aside from the argument that maybe more on-screen clutter is a bad thing. I mean, obviously the pros are better visual awareness for players. You know, this keeps key info on your central vision, so you don't have to look to the side at a target bar or your enmity list or target of a tank. This is incredibly useful for reaction times when we have, you know, things that are interruptible. Obviously, there's like a shaking visual line on the cast bar itself, so we know that we can interrupt something, so a lot less things are probably going to get off in time, so that's pretty good. And of course, accessibility. It benefits players with visual or cognitive impairments who have trouble tracking that additional cast bar location, so it can also help controller players who focus more on the character and the immediate area rather than looking at various different bars and things like that. And anybody who isn't used to looking at target bars, for example a healer and a tank, you know, support roles, we're often looking at our alliance lists, at our party lists for healing and things like that. So we're used to it, whereas a DPS, a lot of you probably either have those disabled or you just don't look at them. So that's a really nice accessibility boost. Another thing is cleaner party coordination. You know, tanks and healers can instantly see those boss abilities without shifting their focus as well, especially if they're already clicking on people to heal through or using keybinds to switch between them. It just means that in high movement phases in fights, you know, where glancing away from the fight can be costly, this is going to save time. This is going to be especially useful in you know, content like Savage and Extreme and Criterion mode. So it's pretty cool, and the fact that it's optional as well, that you can go into the menu and turn that off. Like I say though, the cons to this, you know, screen clutter. Do you really want more things on screen? If you had like 4 powerful enemies and you've got all these cast bars as well as, you know, the HP bars and all of the visual effects as well, I suppose it could get a bit cluttered, but at the end of the day, this is nowhere near as cluttered as something like World of Warcraft with its current situation with add-ons, you know, and the amount of bloat on screen. It's still quite a clean experience in this game. And of course, sometimes you're going to have overlap with floating combat text as well. It really depends how you have your UI set up. And of course, another thing is the reduced need for situational awareness. A lot of people have talked about this. Veteran players, some of them might feel that this makes mechanics a little bit too obvious, reducing the challenge of, you know, reading the animations or learning tells from creatures. More often than not, people bring up the idea of Aura and Veil when that was changed to have coin counter have a displayed actual cast bar, whereas before the update that implemented that, coin counter basically had tells and you had to figure out what was what. And that can also sometimes lead you into a false sense of security, because not everything in the game has cast bars, especially in the high-end content. Sometimes you have to look at a boss, how it's standing, what side of it, you know, which fist is raised, what side of it is glowing and which side isn't, as well as looking at things on the outside of a screen. So this could lull you into a false sense of security, I think. But again, I'm trying to nitpick, you know, possible cons to this. But for the general experience of the game, I think this is overtly positive. And yeah, I think it's just such a solid adjustment to the game, and something that I think most people will welcome, although it will affect, you know, your savage cast bars and things. So I don't know, it's a bit of both worlds, isn't it? It's trying to make it more usable by the character, whoever is playing the character. And I think the visual representations and that accessibility is a nice thing, because it still doesn't do the fight for you. You still have to put in the effort, and you still have to be, you know, quite skillful to pull off the execution of a lot of those mechanics back to back, and learn the patterns and learn the boss fights. So I don't think at high end it's really going to be that big of a deal, but I'm sure some people will make it a big deal in their write-ups. But yeah, I think it's a positive thing, and I'm really surprised that this was not something I could think about. Like, Square Enix does occasionally have really solid quality of life features that they just go, oh, there you go, baked into the game. And it always surprises me. They are a lot fewer and far between these days than they were back in, like, Stormblood, for example, where a lot more of the game was needing to be fixed, right? And we did have positive changes, but this is a really positive one. And yeah, let me know what you think about this. Do you think this is the dumbing down of the game, quote unquote, or do you find this incredibly useful for all of the listed reasons? Much love. Enjoy the rest of your day. More 7.3 videos on the way, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.